It's thinking. Here we go. Okay, we're officially live. Hey, everyone.
Yay!
It
Awesome.
is real estate recess on a slight delay today by about 15 minutes because of technology. Thank you, technology,
It
for coming
happens.
through for us when we need you most.
Real
I'm
estate
Jennifer
recess.
Schurter,
We love that.
and I've got two fun guests for you today. I've got Laura Petek, my friend from the Cleveland, Ohio area. She's a real estate agent. And I'd like to introduce to you my friend Kate, Canton Kate from Canton, Ohio. I give you permission to use that because that's what we call her.
Yes.
Laura,
Yep.
Laura needs royalties for that name.
Yes, I
She
did. I
does.
did coin Canton Kate.
She
I
did
did.
coin the term. So,
Yep.
yeah, so it's just fun. I love having folks like you on here because for the people out there, it's nice to have some insight to, instead of our little hub here in Oregon, to know what's happening out there elsewhere. But today we wanted to talk about something that I've seen pop up recently that I think anybody out there who's going to be selling a home this year should hear, which is what home buyers are looking for in 2025. So you both, as well as I, work with home buyers. And so it's like, well, we showing properties, you start to sense what, by and large, like for the most part, what buyers are looking for, what they're walking into a house and seeing, and what turns them off, and what's attractive to them. So what I have here is this blog post.
Yes, this was very interesting, I thought.
The dating pool of real
Yeah.
estate. That's kind of like what it is.
The dating pool. I swear there was a game. There's this app that was like swipe right or swipe left. I don't know anything
Yes.
about the dating sites, but I
Yes.
feel like if that doesn't exist, it should, for
Oh,
buyers
yeah.
to be like,
Oh,
yay,
yeah.
nay, yay, nay.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
let's keep
Yeah.
that idea.
That's
like,
our $1 million idea. Nobody picked that up.
Yeah,
Nobody else
let's
did.
Yeah.
launch that. Let's
Yeah.
launch that app.
So what this article is saying basically is that Bright MLS, which is not an MLS that's in Oregon. I don't think you guys don't have Bright MLS where you're
No.
at. It's like East Coast markets.
No.
But it's an interesting survey that's saying that prospective buyers, they're more likely to compromise on size and location than finding something that is move-in ready, which move-in ready, as you guys know, is like a subjective term.
Yes.
It could be
Yeah.
move-in ready for one person could be, oh, we need to rip out the carpets and paint, and we'll be ready to go, and that's not a big deal. And for another buyer, it could be, we want it to be completely cosmetically updated. We want to do nothing. We almost want it to be like a brand new house. So buyers are looking for move-in ready, whatever that means to them. 75% are open to purchasing a smaller home. 64% are willing to consider homes outside their location. And 38.8 approximately are prepared to stretch their budget. So for these folks who are willing, they're paying a high price, they're paying a high interest rate, and if your house is trashy on the inside or it's not clean, I mean, what are you guys seeing out there?
Oh my gosh. It's like the reason that they're willing to compromise is because they're seeing what we're seeing, which is there's nothing for sale. And what that is for sale is like, really? They listed this and like they just rolled out of bed this morning and left the house a mess. Like what?
Or the carpet is from 1980.
Yeah.
And there are people that are willing, that are like, no big deal. You cut it in 4-foot strips. I roll it and I throw it in the garbage. And there's no issues with that. And they could care less. And there's other people that are like, oh, I could never rip out carpet. That is way too much work. What's underneath? What do I put on top? How am I going to get past this? And ultimately, it comes at a discount. Anytime a seller tries to skimp on something, whether it be an estate or anything, it always ends up as a discount.
Yeah.
There's a discount either in the price already or someone will ask for it.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
And like as much as you might be, I mean, for me, carpet's not a big deal, but when you start getting into like, oh, when I move in, I automatically have to do this and this. Like, I'm the kind of person that doesn't even like to change light bulbs. Like, I don't want to do it. So like when I see something that's automatically like project, I'm like, I can understand where buyers would be like, not for me. I don't want to do that. Like, You know, flooring, you hire someone, they come out, they do it. But when you start getting into like, oh, there's holes in the drywall or stuff like that, I feel like that's the kind of stuff that makes people just be like, it's going to be a laundry list of things.
Oh yeah. Holes in the drywall or like leaky sinks.
Yes.
Things like that they'll just leave.
Or like they just like the carpet's not just dated, but it's like ratty, like that kind of stuff. You can't really, you know, I would be like overstimulated every second of the day if that were my house.
It would drive me crazy too, because my house, when it's a mess, it drives me crazy.
Oh,
I can't imagine moving into a place that's new to us.
Yeah.
And having to look at like the things that just weren't taken care of, that even if it's not painted, if it's a hole and it's just at least patched and covered, but maybe isn't painted, like, okay, that's not hard for me to paint. Odds are I'm not going to like the color that the seller picks anyway.
Yeah.
We'll come back to that. But it's like certain things would just be frustrating when your affordability is at an all-time low. Buyers are stretching their budget. As this thing said, they are stretching their budget. They're willing to pay more to get something they don't have to mess with. So for sellers who are hearing this, you know, we've been boots on the ground talking to people, showing properties, walking buyers through these things, and we're hearing their feedback. So knowing all of that, what would you tell a seller today, taking this information? Like, we know buyers are, you know, stretched. They're stretching their budget. They're going to get ready to sell their house. And, you know, this article here has some additional things like how sellers can capitalize. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, because this article certainly has its things, you know, completing essential repairs, cosmetic upgrades. You know, that can be a whole other conversation. Staging your house, highlighting energy efficiency. What do you guys think about these? Do you agree? What would you add? Would you elaborate on any of these pieces?
I think if you're like, when I'm sitting down with buyers and getting them prepared for the market, I'm like, look, there's going to be two types of houses. The ones that we can negotiate down because they're asking way too much and it needs work, or the ones that are move-in ready and really nice and you're going to be fighting people. And then when you go to the seller, it's like, which one of those people do you want to be? Do you want to be the one that people are nitpicking and dropping price, or do you want to be fought over? So if you want to be fought over, change your flooring. Even if it's going to delay the market, which we all hate to do. We like to get sellers on the market. But, you know, if it's going to be a difference of you've got people fighting for your house instead of fighting you on your house, put yourself in that position.
That's a great point. Yeah. That's a great point, because you know, there are people that will just say, I can't do one thing to this house. I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have resources. I am not updating my mom's house that I just inherited. Yeah. It's just not happening. Then we have to have that conversation we need to price it right then. Yeah. Right. You're getting a discount one way or another. Right. It's happening. You know what I mean? And it's not that those houses don't sell, because there are plenty of people in the market who want the house that they can make their own. They want to put in their own carpet. They want to paint it themselves. They want to do everything themselves. There are those people out there. Yeah. It's just pricing it accordingly to the market so that you're not sitting on there getting stale. And then what happens? You're losing more money. And the same happens when somebody does have it all updated. Right. Now that they have it updated, they think that they're worth the house that's brand new.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes. I mean, I think that it gets like, you know, people don't realize how much more a buyer will pay just because a house looks cute. Like that is such a huge deal. Yeah. Like when you walk in and it's like, they've got the greenery, they took all the staging tips, they did all of the things, like that is a house that sells quick. Like people feel good.
So I will say this really quick before, I'm just going to say, anybody out there watching that's a buyer, let us know as we're going through this what you think in the comments. Leave us a comment. What do you think about this as a buyer walking into a house? Even if you're not buying a home anytime soon, just put yourself in that position of what would you look for? What would you think of a house that was updated or staged well and clean? Can I emphasize clean for a second?
Oh my goodness.
Not just like throwing your dirty socks and underwear in the hamper and, you know, whatever, but I mean like vacuum and swept and dusted and clean, like it's why I hire a cleaner to come in, a professional cleaner to come into listings.
Oh.
And it is not cheap, but I do it because my idea of clean is subjective. It's different. It could be different than what my seller has in mind. And I just want to set that expectation, like set it up right away for them so that we're not having this conflict or this issue with, well,
yes,
you've got, you know, crusty crumbs that stink under your stove or under your fridge that people, you never know what a buyer's going to look for when if they see it scuzzy anywhere. It could be a turnoff, and we want to eliminate all possible turnoffs. So if you're a buyer, in the comments, let us know what you think about these things, what you're looking for. So anyway, yes. So continue.
My favorite, having said that about being clean, is when you walk into the showing, there's a sign right there at the door that says, either wear booties or please remove your shoes.
Right.
I've had so many clients look around and be like, nope, I'll wear
taking my shoes off.
What
is up with this carpet
it
or the
cracks
floor's dirty?
me up.
Yeah.
Yes. Like, even as an agent, are you going to sweep the floor? Like, are you going to make it so that people aren't like you? And right here in Northeast Ohio, Kate and I are drowning in snow.
Yeah.
So every time we go into something, it's
wet.
soaked.
I know.
Have a towel there.
Yeah.
Put a rug there.
A boot tray.
One of those people. I'm not taking
Plastic,
my shoes off.
one of those rubber boot trays where you can set your wet shoes on it to
Yeah.
collect the water. Like
if that's what you want, plan ahead.
That's
Plan
not a bad
ahead for
idea
that.
here also in Oregon because it's rainy. We aren't going to get the snow that you guys get in Northeast Ohio, but here we're going to have bucket loads of rain all the time and it's muddy. So not only do we have wet, we have the mud. So I'm making a note myself right now to tell sellers or to have them for myself. Hey, if it's winter or rainy time, put this boot tray for people coming in to put their shoes if you're expecting them to take their shoes off when they come in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like, I'm one of those people. I'm not walking around on your floors, like, especially like in the spring or summer, I've got bare feet. Like, I'm not picking up your dog hair on my feet. No thanks.
Yes. Yes. Gross.
But it's all those little things, like, you know, for when I explain to buyers, when we walk through a house or even in our buyer consult meeting where we're going through like expectations or what to expect when you shop, it's like, you'll notice things that are kind of like the ick, as some people will say, the ick factor. And that's like, and anything that's an ick costs money. In the buyer's mind, there's a dollar sign attached to every ick that they feel. If that's like the like dust on the floor on their bare feet in the summer when they walk through, or like crusty carpet,
the inside of your fridge,
or like because they're gonna open that, you know, or like
they are
your
like
greasy stovetop, stuff like that. And I, you know, it's hard to say because, you know, here's the thing too, is it's like your home is your castle. You live there, and you live how you live, and that's okay. That's your business. But when it comes to selling your house, and maybe this is a controversial hot take, but when it comes to selling your house, I think a lot of sellers out there have to become comfortable with it. For that short time frame, they're going to have to be uncomfortable. They're going to have to understand.
You have showings
it's there's only so much an agent can do. You know, we can handle the marketing and we can, you know, make sure the house is clean from the get-go, but there's a part of that where you as a seller have to also be invested in that process. And if you have high expectations of your agent, of them delivering offers and providing feedback and getting buyers in the door that are ready to buy, then you as a seller also have to be invested in that process and be committed to doing the things that you can do to assist. So that is, I think, the end of the day is the recipe for success.
Yeah, I would agree. Sorry, I actually just had someone say they can't show the house tonight because of this weather. We are dealing with so much snow here. It's insane. So sorry, I was distracted for a second. But yeah, I agree. I think if a seller is not invested in selling the property, you can tell when you go through. You're like, they were just trying to, you know, see if they could get a quick buck out of this market, which is fine. You probably can, but you have to actually have the motivation there as a seller. You've got pre-approved buyers coming through your house. So
right. And some people, and as an agent, we have to be the ones to say the things that aren't comfortable. Like we have to have those difficult conversations with our clients sometimes to say, I'm willing to help you as much as I can, but I'm going to need you to help too. And I want you to be successful. I want this to happen quickly. The longer a house sits on the market past our average time on market for the area, the worse it looks to potential buyers. We don't
What's
want
wrong?
that to happen because there's
Yeah.
always
They all
that
say, what's wrong with the
what's
house?
wrong
Something's
with
Yeah.
the house. Yes.
Yeah.
And then it could be nothing. It's maybe unkempt or it's dirty or whatever the case is. But aside from cleanliness, what about, well, let's see, let's remove this here. So another thing is oftentimes I see buyers that can't quite get past the cosmetic aspects of a house, whether it's curtains or it's artwork. Paint colors are a big one. What do you guys see when you take buyers through houses? What is their comments or feedback when you walk into a house that is definitely cosmetically not, and I'm talking personal property, furniture, whatever, that is cosmetically not what's popular right now? What do people generally perceive that?
Like Kate said, cute sells. Cute really sells. If you are up on what's in the market right now and you are staging that way, or at least helping your clients stage that way, it makes a big difference. Like the tones, we were doing so many cool tones before. Everything was gray, everything was white, and that's kind of taken a step to the side. You have some kids that are looking at houses that are swiping them just if they are gray. They're like, we're done with gray, done with the gray, done with the,
Gray.
done with
Yeah.
white, you know?
Yeah.
Well, it's before we went live, we were all talking about how home shopping should be a dating site. We weren't live when we were talking about that,
Maybe
right?
we were. We were.
Oh,
Maybe.
Oh, yeah, we
I
were.
think we were.
Okay. Yeah.
Nobody
Yeah.
steal our $1 million idea.
Okay,
please.
I can remember at the very beginning, but yeah, it's like they just I mean, if they're gonna give up on some criteria, the other criteria has to really be there. I think is what buyers are seeing, or what we're seeing with buyers right now. Like, if it's not going to be the school district they want, it's really got to be the house they want and the price they want. If it's not the house they want, they're only going to give in so many places right now, which is tough because there's not a lot of inventory. So
Right.
Right. And I see people looking at things like, are the windows done? So a lot of times with an estate, we always know that, not always, but with an estate, typically the person didn't plan on leaving the house anytime soon. So they have an updated roof, they have an updated furnace, they have an updated window, but they might have wallpaper. And I know a lot of my clients are looking for that. They're looking for the ones that they can just do a few cosmetic things and they can look past that, so long as the big stuff is done. But I had windows just the other day in a house that I had never seen before in my life. They had this little gap and you took a stick and pushed the stick right through it like that.
Yeah.
To have them open like this.
Yeah.
I had never seen those.
Oh.
It was definitely ancient.
What if you
But I'll
lost
tell you
the
what,
stick?
it was about it was weird stick. I should have took a video of it.
Cavemen made those windows. That's what it is. That's how old they are. Cavemen made them.
Yes. You had to slide this rod like this, and then you had to slide it into the hole like this, and it opened up. And then I said to my clients, dear Lord, please let this close. Because I was like, what if I just got their windows stuck open? So it did.
Awkward.
It did come down, and then I pulled the stick through the hole and slid the stick over. It was so bizarre. I will say, though, that it was about probably 18 degrees outside, and there were no drafts. It was not cold. All the windows were working, but boy, were they odd.
Oh my gosh.
The roof was new.
I think it's a really bad sign if you're showing buyers their house. If there is any involvement of me trying to catch my breath as I'm showing a house, it's not good. If I have to open some weird door to get to the basement, I'm not here for exercise. This is not good. If I have to use a gadget to open your window, no. Yeah. I'm not here for arm workout right now.
That's so funny. Well, I wanted to say that a lot of times there are some buyers, and I'll say maybe it's, I don't know if it's half and half. This is very non-scientific. This is just me using an example. But let's say 50% of the buyers out there have an imagination and they can see through your paint colors, your, the types of window drapes you have, or the carpet color you picked, and, things that are, relatively easy to fix. But then maybe it's like the other half. They don't have that imagination. Like, they look at it and what they see is what they get. They're not thinking of like, oh, I can paint this orange wall a neutral color that fits my style or what I'm more attracted to, or that I can just take these drapes down that I don't like, or they may not even be there because the seller might take them. But because of those things, it automatically could make them feel like the house is dated or that they have to do a bunch of work. And so often I will tell people, we'll do a staging consult before we go live. And that doesn't necessarily mean bringing in outside furniture. Sometimes sellers don't want to do that. So we do our best to work with what's there and minimizing and taking out things that can make a room feel small or cluttered, and getting rid of personal things like pictures. We don't want people to know too much about you as a person and your family. So taking that stuff out, and things that can get cluttered or get dusty really easy, because if you have to clean your house a lot more, we're going to take out things so that makes it's also easier for you as a seller, because you're not having to dust all these little.
You're already packing. You're already packing.
Yeah.
Pack it up.
Absolutely.
That's what I say every time. You're moving.
Right.
The whole goal is for you to move. So
Yeah.
you might as well just pack it all up.
Pack it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. One less thing to dust or have to worry about in an open house, somebody coming in with their kid and knocking over your, something that you care about. So it's better to put that stuff away for a number of reasons. But so with all that being said, be open-minded to the ideas when a realtor comes in and talks to you and says, hey, this neon green wall, I know you love neon green and it's your favorite color, and I appreciate that, but let's consider if we painted this, maybe 50% of the buyers who don't want a neon green dining room, or who can't see past the color, that paint's cheap and easy to do, that, we don't want to turn off potentially half of the buyer pool out there that's going to be a great fit for your property.
As a buyer too, like what I've told a buyer of mine is like, look, you were so set on that house that's super cute, but make it your own cute, because when the good part about a house being a little bit less is that you've got a lot of room for resale, and then when you make it cute, it's gonna like knock it out of the park. So take advantage of being the underdog almost. Like, take that house, make it yours, make it cute, and then, resell it for $5,000 more a week later just because you put up, some greenery in there.
Yeah,
that's really the difference sometimes.
Right. So to add to this conversation, Sherwin-Williams, and this is just an idea. Let's see here. For instance, Sherwin-Williams has their colors of the year, which are on the page right here.
I love that.
So it's kind of fun. Every year, Sherwin-Williams and Benjamin Moore and lots of these paint companies come up with their colors of the year. And so it's interesting to see, because when they put these paint colors out there and they're talking about, here's our color of the year, like Bosch Pear. And I am thinking, how would you do that? How would you use chartreuse in a room? And they do this. So imagine yourself walking into a house where they have used a lot of these modern colors that are the quote in vogue colors right now. Do you think buyers are open to these types of colors? It's kind of a rainbow of different choices, but is color like this, or are we talking we've got to go builder beige across the board? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think if you're going to sell I love that rain cloud color. That's my favorite. If you're going to sell right away, lean more towards a neutral. But if you're like, oh, I'm going to list it next week, I think you can be a little edgy with something like that, because you're going to have the market that's going to be like, oh, this must be in right now, So I wouldn't pick edgy as a long-term color. That's for sure.
Sure.
And really all those colors I like, except that one bizarre greeny color.
Green.
The rest of them all would work. Yeah,
right.
The rest of them would all work to be very neutral form.
I like all those. That rain
Yeah.
cloud is so pretty.
It is pretty. And I feel like too, I also think it would depend on the area and the house itself, because could I see chartreuse being used in
A bathroom.
a new house or it
Yeah.
was like a kitchen, but maybe it would work if I've seen lots of houses in my area that are older where they've got rooms with lots of character that can easily be complemented with a really fun, cool color like mauve finery. I could see that in maybe a Victorian style house or an older farmhouse where you have a cute little nook where you could have where there's a window, there's light, and it would play off the elements of that color. But is it like the right application for every room? Maybe not. But I think it just shows that it just goes to show that it is so important before you list a property. And if you have time and resources, like maybe not Laura, your probate or your estate situation, if you have the time and the resources to dedicate to really getting your house ready, it's so important to have these conversations with an agent who knows what they're talking about and is willing to have these conversations with you and give you honest feedback, because you need honest feedback. It's not fair to you to not have honest feedback when you're a seller. Even if you may not like what you hear, it feels uncomfortable. A good agent isn't telling you those things because they just want to be a brat, they're saying it because they care and they want this outcome to be the best for you and want to give you good advice.
Agents want to sell your house as quick as they can. So if they're telling you we've got to delay it because we want you to do a couple of these things, you need to take that seriously, because it hurts. It hurts for us to be like, I can't take this listing just yet. So take that advice seriously, because it's not easy to be like, we got to wait. No one wants to wait.
Totally.
I don't, at least. I'm like the most impatient person. You guys know
that. Well, especially because when we meet with a seller and we talk about the market, we know the market changes so quickly. Day to day, a week or a month from now could be a totally different circumstance. We could go from it's hot and there's lots of buyers out there to in a month, it's, something changes in the market. And so obviously timing is everything, but sometimes it all works out in the end anyway. So yeah, that's exciting.
Oh, we had a crazy switch. We had a crazy market switch around August.
Yeah.
In my area.
Yeah.
When school started, it just went
Yep.
And the buyers all went to sleep. They all sent their kids to school and they were like, well, didn't get a house. I'm not going to get one now.
I even think, which Laura, you might be saying differently, but I even think this past month, people have been like, peace out. I'm hibernating.
Yeah. Well, you guys literally, when you're getting bucket loads of snow and it's negative a million degrees where you're at. So I'm sure everybody's literally actually hibernating where you're at.
Would love to. It's my job allowed for that. But
I feel like for us in the last year out here, it's been more like, at least in my experience, it was really quiet to the beginning of the year. And then when we got to spring, it really started to pick up and it lasted. The momentum really lasted solidly for me, especially October was an extremely busy month. And then it kind of tapered off through the end of the year. But I had an interesting conversation. Oddly enough, everyone, Laura, Kate, and I have the same coach, business coach with Tom Ferry. So I was having my coaching call yesterday with Coach Joe.
You should be on this.
He should. Joe should join us for this sometime. He wouldn't know what to do with us.
He'd be
I know.
Like any of our funny business. He would be like, stop, let's be serious.
Yeah, right. What are you talking about? Paint colors? Yeah, right. So but we were talking about, we were talking about, what's the market doing out here? And we had an interesting conversation. I mean, not to get political, this isn't inherently political, but to say, depending on the area, whether, obviously we just had an election and things are changing on the 20th here in a few days. So he said in states that are red states, business seems to have really popped off in the last few weeks. Things are booming and going. So there's a lot of enthusiasm in those areas, as opposed to a blue state or a blue area, things feel sluggish. And that's easy. I can relate to that. I feel that here a little bit. Business is still happening, but when I hear of markets that are just popping off, I'm like, we haven't seen that here. We don't have that same level of energy and enthusiasm, being that Oregon is a blue state, and but the Portland metro by and large is a blue-ish area. So I don't know if you relate to that, but I thought that was an interesting take, and I think that it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, Laura's closer to a big city. I mean, I am too, but I've got a lot of rural areas, which you do too, Laura. So I think, us being a red state, we are feeling that enthusiasm around here, like now. Like, it's like the Christmas has passed. They're like, okay, things are going to start changing. Whether or not you agree with what the change will be, it's just a matter of where you're at, like what state you're in. I mean, so people in our state, Ohio's no longer a swing state. So I think like a majority of Ohio is like in the mood that this is going to be a good year. So
I believe that too.
Yeah.
I believe that too. I had 2 offers go out last week, both of them multiple offer situations in just a suburb of Cleveland in Parma. Both of them multiple offer situations. One had 3 offers. One had, I think, 5.
Yeah.
And
Parma's great, but Parma doesn't always get offers like that, right?
No, not always. It depends. Right now, they still are in a deficit of houses.
Yeah.
Like, we're to the point where we were excited to come in and say, okay, with my new buyer saying, this is my first time home, I'm excited, let's jump in. Now we've kind of seen the inventory, and if it didn't just hit the market, the stale stuff, we know why it's stale.
Yeah.
So give us some context, Laura. Parma, for those who aren't familiar with the area where you're at in Ohio. How is that far from Cleveland? Is it a small town? Is it a mid-sized city?
Right next to it.
It's right next to Cleveland.
Right next to it. Real close to downtown Cleveland. Yeah, probably 15 minutes.
But not a small town. It's a city, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's a city. It's pretty big. It is like packed with houses.
Yeah.
Packed. Many of them built in the 50s, 60s.
Okay.
Packed.
Oh, speaking of Parma, did that guy off subject ever call you that we spoke about?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's a good point. So Kate sent me a referral of a fella that was going to sell his house in Parma, actually. And his property, his dad, he had everything set up in the estate, everything, but one thing. He did not have a transfer on death on his father's house when he passed. His father passed on Tuesday. He called me on Wednesday and said, please, can you come out and give us a value? And here we have to go through 6 months mandatory probate in Cuyahoga County. So write that down, folks. 6 months.
Laura is probate. a big like probate, like transfer on death person. Like
I am. I love me a TOD.
Yes. She always makes sure her people get that.
I do.
Don't worry, no one will die.
Yeah, so that's a takeaway.
That's what they say.
Yeah.
That's what they say. I had a beautiful piece of land. Beautiful. 18 acres. 18 acres of property. 2 sisters and a brother. We went all the way to the closing table and the buyer failed to perform. The buyer failed. Yeah. So we put put the land back on the market, started to get some little chit chat around it. People were getting all excited. I'm going to bring you an offer. The brother died.
Oh my God.
The brother died.
No.
No transfer on death.
No.
And guess what? He lives in another state. So let's add that to everything. And now I have a grieving wife and 2 sisters who are like, why won't my sister-in-law close this? How come why can't we list it? I can't list it. You got 6 months of probate now.
Right.
So
right. You need signatures.
We have to wait.
Someone who can't give you signatures right now.
So I think the takeaway that the people should know from this conversation is that
we need to just do one on this.
We absolutely should, because I think it's important because I just did a podcast, the emergency podcast on Sunday about insurance in light of the fires. And out here in Oregon, wildfires are a thing, like in the mountains and out here in the forested areas. It is a thing. And it could be a thing anywhere, the right conditions and wind and drought, whatever. So talked about insurance and how important that is to have. But the reality of life is that you're not guaranteed tomorrow. Even if you're not an older person and you're
Oh no.
advanced in age, it can happen to anybody. And if you have assets and you have people that you want to take care of or assure that your property that you own, even if it's just your house that you live in, if you own a single family home, you're a property investor, in my opinion. Even if that's all you have, and that I think it's so important to take those steps to set up the succession plan. What's going to happen in the event of a death in your family, like you or your spouse
also,
or a partner in a property you own, like
boyfriends,
call an attorney,
girlfriends,
set up a trust, something like have that protection so that if something happens, and you don't want to have to sit and wait locked up and held up in probate or whatever it is in the area
money.
you're in.
Yeah.
And money.
It costs money.
Yes.
Talking to a realtor is free. I don't know if people realize that. Talking to a realtor is free. Get a good recommendation from them and say, look, the house is in my dad's name. He's not doing well. What do I do? I mean, we'll tell you what to do. We want to help you. Like down the road, we want to help you. So we're going to put you in the right position for that. So,
and anything that goes above the scope of our license, it's realtors. Yeah. We're not experts in all things. We're not attorneys, accountants. No. We're not contractors. No. So we will refer you to a competent professional that is licensed appropriately.
Scam you out of money.
Yes. That's going to be able to help you with that.
I have an estate lawyer on speed dial. It just seems to follow me. I know exactly who to contact, when we're in a pickle. But if that fellow would have called me 2 days before, there never would have been a pickle.
Yeah, exactly.
It's seriously, and Dad was in hospice, and that is something that even hospice, they're not always sharing. Are you guys set? We know this is going to happen. Death is imminent. You know what I mean? We know this is going to happen. Do you have assets that you need to prepare for? Houses and cars. They will get caught up in probate.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Real quick, are you guys seeing these starred comments? Are these for us? Or are these like fake? Like what's going on here?
I don't see anything on my side.
I don't either.
They might be old comments. Hold on, from a previous one. I don't know. I don't see them on my side.
Who do I call if my neighbor's house is burning?
Oh, that was from Sunday.
From the insurance.
That's from Sunday. Yeah.
Oh,
no worries. I don't see them on my side at all. That's too funny. I cleared them out.
Right
no, nobody's trying. Technology is fun when it works. Yeah. And that's my thing for the day.
Oh, yeah.
Technology's amazing when it's actually working for you. But so before we close out our time here, I think one thing people can live vicariously through us with our experiences. Have either of you experienced anything noteworthy or just kind of off the wall in your world of real estate within the past week that's kind of an interesting story, like a lesson learned? Obviously, with the guy locked up in the probate for his dad's property, it's a very compelling and interesting story. But what else do you have out there?
Those windows.
The windows. That's a quirky one for sure.
I would say noteworthy. I would say that the market, I mean, depending again on your area, but the market is changing and get ahead of it. That would be my advice right now.
Oh yeah.
You're going to be
say so.
Cool.
Get out there and get looking.
Yes. The second those rates start to go down and the green starts to branch out from the snow here, it's too late at that point. You're already going to be fighting the mobs of people. So if you're thinking about it, get ahead of it. That's my advice.
Yep.
I would agree with that. I think any relief of any kind, I don't know, it may not be interest rates. We may not see significant crazy drops in interest rates anytime soon, but any kind of relief that people see, economic things that just feel better, make them feel like their wallet lightened up their burdens on things like gas prices.
Yes. Gas prices are like the biggest thing.
Yes, because that affects so many other things. If grocery prices come down, if eggs aren't, $15 a dozen, stuff like that is going to help free up money for affordability, and people feel better and if they're holding out. But I agree, sooner the better. It just at least start the process. If you're 3 months out, now's the time to have a conversation with a real estate agent.
Oh yeah, even if you're 6 months out.
Yeah,
because I always tell my buyers, let's at least find the style of home that you like. Because you might say, I can't stand ranches. They're too long. I don't like a long hallway. I don't want my kids on the same floor as me, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you might be like, I'm not replacing that roof ever because a ranch roof is the most expensive one. Got a nice long roof. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I always tell my clients, let's get started to at least know what we're looking for.
Yeah.
Are we looking
100%.
for something with a basement? What area are we looking in? What neighborhoods are we looking in?
I would say too, if you're like, when people say, oh, we want to be looking in 6 months, or no, we want to look for a house in 6 months. What does that mean? Does that mean you want to close in 6 months? Because right now it's taking my people at least like 2 to 3 months to even find something. And then when you find something, if it even goes all the way to closing, which sometimes it's not, we all know that stuff falls through. And then you're looking and closing in 4 months, you skip a month between closing and your first payment. So if you're like, oh, my lease is up and I don't want to be making 2 payments, you might not make 2 payments. You would close in April and not owe until June. So I think
that's
like
great.
People
that's
realize
great advice.
Yeah.
Set that expectation and know exactly communicate clearly what goals are.
Yeah.
And also I think it's our job as agents to ask the questions or answer the questions the buyers don't know to ask, or ask questions the buyers don't know to talk about.
Yes.
And that's,
don't even know that are
so
out
when
there.
When you say 6 months, is that, hey, we're going to start physically looking for a house. We need 6 more months of saving money, but we want to get some processes in place. Or is it, no, we want to be in our house, moved in 6 months, which means, we're
Okay. We need to look now. We need to look today. People don't realize that plus it changes all the time. That's why you're there. Like
exactly.
You're looking in 6 months. If the market is really good and lots of inventory, you could probably wait, but I don't think any of us would tell people to wait for 6 months if they didn't know.
Right. If they're just waiting to wait. Yeah. Well, especially because we don't know what the market's going to do in 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's going to be potentially crazy in the summer.
We are still low inventory. There's just here, we don't have a lot of inventory. And a lot of the stuff, I think, Laura, you and I talked the last time you were on about how Ryan Serhant believes that there's a high percentage of the inventory that's on the market right now is stale, meaning it's been on the market. Yeah. People who are actually shopping have already seen it. So that means there's greater attention on the small number of new listings. In Canby, for instance, when I was looking at the Altos data the other day, Altos being, for those who don't know, a resource that provides updates on individual areas for the real estate world, pricing and inventory. 0 new listings hit the market in my town last week.
Wow.
Yes. So there was, so it's stale. So stuff.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes. So either everybody's waiting or, things so that's really stalled right now. So very interesting to see. It could change. We could get like 87 new listings next week. We just don't know. But it's just interesting to think about that quote from Ryan Serhant and to think, okay, well, my little town, just as an example, there was nothing new in the last week. So we have an inventory shortage. There's not a lot of options for people and a variety of options. Like there's not a good assortment of different choices. It's kind of like you've got this over here, this type, and then you've got really, really cheap, or you've got really, really expensive, and anything in the middle, there's not a lot of variety.
Right.
So it's tough.
And your investors, especially for Kate and I, because we're big investor areas because of our home prices being so affordable. Now's the time to peek at those, because you have those houses that are estates, that are properties that just need a little bit of fluffing up, and they're sitting on the market stale because the market said no to the price.
Yeah.
If they've been, and they've been on 30, 60, 90 days. Before we were saying, if your house has been on more than a week and a half, you need to adjust the price. So we're not that crazy right now. Yeah. But if you've been on 30, 60, 90 days, you need to adjust your price.
Yeah.
It's not happening
now. Yeah.
And I think it's
not
important
happening
to look at your price point also and say, okay, maybe you have a luxury home that's in your area is way outpacing the median or the average price. see if you can drill into the time on market, because sometimes, you know, if your house is in the average price point for an area and your price time on market is 50 days and you've been on the market 100, there's a problem. There's a problem with your price, or something is going on that's not adding up to the market if you're the average price point in the average house and you're not selling in that average amount of time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
The market
totally.
tells you what to do. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay,
Yeah, it does.
well, any final thoughts, ladies? This has been awesome. I'm
Yeah.
glad you could join me today.
Yeah, happy to be on.
We need to do this
Yeah.
more often.
Absolutely. It's a fun panel. And let us know what your thoughts are. So whoever's out there watching, thank you for tuning in. Let us know in the comments what you think you would be looking for as a buyer if you were shopping for a home today. Leave us a comment. If the paint color thing, what paint colors are an absolute turnoff and what work for you. That's always good to know. But otherwise, Laura, how can people find you on the interwebs?
Oh, it's pretty simple. My name's Laura Petek. It's right there.
Yep, it's
Laura
right.
Petek.
Oops,
So you could go
where
to
am I pointing?
laurapetek.com.
There.
Yeah. You can go to laurapetek.com and you can find me there.
Awesome. And
That's
Kate,
my website. Very easy to search homes and check out that Cleveland market.
awesome.
Well, you
And
would have
Kate,
no idea who I am. Like, I just put Kate. I didn't even say really.
I'm just Kate.
I'm just Kate. I actually don't sell real estate. I just like to be on these podcasts. I do a lot more on TikTok, but you can find me on TikTok. It's Kate.
For another 3 days.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
3 days unless it goes through.
Oh,
Oh, the other
yeah.
thing I wanted to say is if you're looking in a city that we are not in, let us know. We've got besties in every city.
We do. We really do.
All over the
connections
country.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Yep.
But Kate, do you have a website? Where can people track you
yes.
down?
So I don't know. Should I just like read off a URL or
Just like, yeah. Unless
just
it's like JKLMNOP
Yeah.
72777.com. Like,
// semicolon. Carter Realty is our brokerage. My mom is the owner and I'm a sub agent. So if you Google us, you'll find me pretty quick.
Tartar as in TARTER Realty.
Yes, like
Okay.
tartar sauce with an ER instead of AR.
TARTER
I'm
Realty.
so glamorous when I say it that way.
No, we listen and we don't judge.
Yes.
I listen and I judge.
Yes. That's what we should do with our that's what we should do with our coach. We listen.
Oh
and
my
we
gosh,
don't
we
judge.
listen
That would
and
be
we don't
hilarious.
judge.
We'll be
Yes.
like, Joe, repeat after me. I listen and I don't judge. He couldn't do that for 2 seconds.
Even
Oh,
the
no.
first time. Oh, yeah. So, well, and you can find me. I'm Jennifer Schurter. I serve the Portland, Oregon metro region and the North Willamette Valley. So if you're looking to make a move around these parts, you can find me here on this YouTube channel at Living in Portland Suburbs. So go ahead and subscribe. We'd love to have you along for the ride. And yeah, I hope you'll connect with me if you're looking to make a move. But otherwise, I will see you next week on Thursday at noon Pacific for the next episode. Thanks again, Laura and Kate. Have a good one, everyone, and keep it real.
Bye, guys.